Uncertainty is everywhere, and your ability to handle it is a muscle you can build over time. And that is the focus of the Money Talk podcast and its latest episode. I spoke with INSEAD professor Nathan Furr and entrepreneur Susannah Harmon Furr about their book, The Upside of Uncertainty, a guide to finding possibility in the unknown. Here is some of that conversation.
That woman who said, I eat uncertainty for breakfast, no, she doesn't. She eats granola because she carries that with her as a little island of certainty to balance out the uncertainty elsewhere in her life.
We don't know how to do this. Like, we're not taught how to deal with uncertainty.
I think it's probably the most important capability one could develop for our modern era.
Like a light switch, it's a mindset shift of just seeing possibility instead of the fearful, only the unknown.
Here's the book. I hold it up, dog-eared. It's got a few post-it notes kind of all the way through it. But, you know, organizations, we're fundamentally human. So if you understand the human, you're going to understand how the organization functions at the same time. And the one thing that you mentioned, Nathan, that I really thought was interesting is that, you know, we don't know how to do this. Like, we're not taught how to deal with uncertainty. And what I thought was interesting is, and we'll get into it, you've got tools, you tell people how to think about it. But, you know, we're taught, to your point, like, you know, math, biology, all the things in school, but we're not taught how to deal with this. And even though maybe perhaps not only are we not taught, but we have some really bad habits that actually make it hard for us to navigate this stuff.
That's spot on. I really like how the former CEO of Ben & Jerry's put it. He said, the world now is ambiguity and paradox. Now, he said this like 5 years ago, pre-COVID, right? So imagine how much ambiguity and paradox everybody is wrestling with since that period. He said, for people who like the linear route forward, life is getting harder and harder in any field. And I think that's the essence of it, because I don't know about you, but I was taught the linear route forward. I never had a class on how to navigate uncertainty. You know, maybe I got a little bit of wisdom from my parents here and there, but the research is very clear on this, that when we have low tools, we actually fall into these maladaptive traps. We get anxious, we ruminate, meaning we think about it, we overreact, we get rigid. And so I wanted to understand this deeper. So I went out, I thought, surely us researchers and academics have figured this out. And it was kind of a good news, bad news story. The good news was that it was very clear that you could learn these skills, and that people who have learned these skills, they're better entrepreneurs, they're better managers, they're better strategists, all this great stuff, right? But the bad news is there was very limited work on how. How do I get better? And so that was the thrust of our work, interviewing great innovators, change makers, designers, artists, even paramedics, people from many walks of life to understand the how.
I want to get into some of the tools. I'm just not going to get there quite yet. I want to go back to the human side for a second, Susannah, because the thing that really appealed to me too is somebody, you know, I talk a lot with folks about investing and personal finance, and I'm a big believer in that there are principles that we adhere to, but everybody has their own tactics and everyone does the things their own way. And you guys said it brilliantly. I think there's 42 tools in this book, but, you know, they're not for everybody. Some people are going to gravitate more to others than other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, people sometimes think, oh no, do I have to know all of these and know exactly what order? Absolutely not. We often even say, just open to a chapter and get reading. But yeah, the 42 tools are there because we know some will resonate and to others and some won't. And we do have our kind of best of that we'll probably end up talking about. But it is a personal experience. And even with risk, as I was saying earlier, Nathan's risk averse, but that doesn't mean he's risk averse in everything. We tend to think risk averse means you're bad at all risk. You never take risk. No, it's more that we have things that we're good at. And so we just don't even see it as doing something great because we're just used to doing that kind of uncertainty. So yeah, it's really exciting to really just let people know, look, there's something in here for you. You don't have to do them all. And I think the most important thing, as Nathan was talking about, how it's really that it is a daily practice and it is a mind, like a light switch. It's a mindset shift of just seeing possibility instead of the fearful, only the unknown.
That's just a little bit of the conversation. We dig into several tools and techniques from their book to help you navigate uncertainty and not just survive, but thrive. You can find the full interview on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.